What's up guys, Houndish here. Today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news, updates, speculation, and community vibes with some super good advice for folks playing Destiny 2 right now. So initially, there's a conversation about the delay for Shadow and Order, where a new timeline for the Eververse store actually indicates it could be pushed back towards the end of April, which is certainly longer than most of us would have hoped would be the case. Obviously, it isn't confirmed by Bungie yet, but a pretty reliable source is indicating that we now have a better idea of what the actual schedule may look like, so we'll touch on that and what it could mean. Otherwise, Bungie are going to be introducing previous event items, stuff that hasn't been in the game for a long time, like Crimson Days and Revelry cosmetics to the Eververse store in upcoming weeks. On top of that, we have some new armor to take a look at. A bunch of new rewards have also been added to the game with the update that we had on Tuesday. But otherwise, there are a couple of updates from Bungie. New bugs, glitches, fixes, and more. So, if you guys enjoy the video, give us a Bungie please in the comment section. It can be our prayer circle for, hopefully, a decent twid today. Or at least an informative twid, right? Now though, let's get into it. And so, first up, as we discussed earlier on in the week, Bungie actually appear to be adding cosmetics from events that we had years ago back into the rotation for this season. So, initially, as Colony Deek shared right here, Revelry cosmetics appear to be returning soon, and this will be the first time since back in 2019. As we actually discussed recently, Bungie have also added Crimson Days items that have been unavailable for some time into the Eververse rotation for this season. So obviously Bungie are going to be leaning on bringing back some things that we haven't had access to for quite a long time. And this actually connects to a potential indication of when we might see Shadow and Order. So Gaming Animal, who's been posting Eververse schedules and rotations on YouTube for some time, uploaded a video this week, and it's interesting because Bungie actually hid the kind of Eververse rotation data a couple of years ago, so at some point since then, they've obviously made it available once again. Gaming Animal's been pretty reliable with regards to the Eververse rotations, and as Forza highlighted on Twitter right here, it isn't confirmed, but after the update we had this week, the Eververse calendar has been updated from March 3rd to April 28th, so typically, the calendar will kind of exist up until the end of the season, or the end of the current half of the season, right, before the major update. But in the update this week, they've actually extended that all the way until the end of April. So, as Forza points out, this could mean Shadow and Order is most likely getting an almost 2-month delay. And again, based on Gaming Animal's consistency with these schedules, there's no reason to believe that this data isn't currently in the game while it isn't confirmed by Bungie. So, given that we've heard about the delay for Shadow and Order, this does indeed indicate the possibility that we're looking at Shadow and Order actually dropping April 28th, which is quite a long time from now. That's far longer than any of us would have wanted this delay to be. We should also bear in mind, while it isn't confirmed, Bungie also haven't confirmed the reasoning for this delay. So, while most of us know, obviously it has a lot to do with Marathon, there could be another component where Bungie are making it a better update than what we had in Ash and Iron. And we obviously hope that will be the case, but for any folks who say we shouldn't be speculating about these dates, I sort of agree with you, but at the same time, we have a problem because Bungie are not giving us the communications, right? And as we've seen in the past, if Bungie don't confirm things, then people will speculate about them instead. And this thread here is a perfect example about it. Iron Banner will return later in 2026. Apparently someone commented on the Destiny Facebook page this week, and they weren't able to actually link it, but the official page did mention Iron Banner returning later in 2026, which is very vague. That could mean April, it could mean August. But we can't verify that Bungie actually said that, which highlights the problem that I was just talking about. People speculate, and we have lots of kind of unconfirmed news. Although, based on the Eververse being updated after the patch this week, I think it's a pretty solid indication that's the kind of timeline we might be looking at, but we'll just have to wait for updates from Bungie. When we look in-game, currently the Season Pass still says that it ends in 33 days, which would lead us to March 3rd, but as we've seen in the past, it's pretty hit and miss relying on this data to actually confirm potential release dates, so we're simply going to have to wait and see, but sincerely, I hope that Bungie gives us more confirmation soon. We'll have to see what we get in the TWID. Other revelations from the update this week though, given that Bungie added a lot of loot, including Guardian Games things that we had in the patch on Tuesday, obviously that could further kind of support the possibility that the Shadow and Order delay is real. Colony Deek shared a new Warlock ornament set here. We only have icons for it, but potentially a pretty cool looking set. They don't think it's the Guardian Games set. We know that Guardian Games will get new armor this season. But as we see, the store always gets updated with various cosmetics that are either for events or, indeed, silver only, so we'll just have to wait and find out. Share your thoughts on all of the speculative stuff about the roadmap, and like I said, hopefully Bungie give us some actual info later on. Quick update here from Andy Salisbury, who works for Bungie. You'll remember Andy from a bunch of the live reveals, things like the Into the Light and Final Shape streams. They shared, "I've been a bit quiet about it, but behind the scenes I've moved from social media over to working on community for Marathon the game. To say it's been a privilege to work with you all is selling it insanely short, and I can't wait for what's to come." And of course we're seeing further kind of restructuring and moving around of people as Bungie go into this Marathon launch phase, which obviously is incredibly important to the studio, aside from whatever's going on with Destiny 2. Separate things you may or may not want to know about, I suppose, right here, but the Coney pink print shader that we got in the Eververse store this week has rabbits, carrots, and penguins on the side of the hunter cloak there. It's quite a curious looking thing, isn't it? Jumping into the game, we can see it's on the front page of the Eververse store. My Titan looks almost, well, yeah, actually kind of horrendous with this shader, probably because it's not the best armor for it, but yeah, carrots and rabbits, wild. Otherwise, in the store this week, we get the helmet from the N7 set for Bright Dust on the front page. Of course, we missed this on Tuesday because I had to put the kids to bed after the extended downtime. That was unfortunate. Other highlights potentially include things like the Wing Beat Hymn, the Choir of One ornament we can see right here. Actually, one of the cooler ornaments, to be fair. Kind of like the vexification of the weapon, reminding us of wyverns, of course. Unfortunately, though, we don't get another Taken armor piece this week, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see in a subsequent week, hopefully again soon. Super good advice here, shared on Reddit. Impossible Guardian said, "I've only just realised you can change your default quest screen. So on the quest tab, while hovering over the All Categories quest sidebar icon, rather than featured quests at the top of the list, if you hit shift on PC, it lets you set that as the default page when you navigate to the tab." Oh my goodness, I didn't realise this actually existed. Set default. Quests from all categories. So that's going to be the landing tab now. If I go to Reward Pass and back. Wow! It's ridiculous that I didn't know about that. Yes, I'm also catching up with Arms Week. I've been kind of all over the place this week, man. Although, to be fair, I was waiting for Bungie to fix the issue with combat telemetry that we couldn't actually turn into Ada before playing a whole bunch of it. They've now done that, so if you have combat telemetry in your inventory, Ada should accept it, finally, which is nice. Other quick news rundown, Onslaught is apparently bugged after the update this week, and the portal after the boss doesn't spawn, so after a round 10 boss, they've tried multiple times, and this has been reported by other folks, you basically get soft-locked because the portal doesn't appear. That's fun. I wouldn't really know because I'm not playing a ton of stuff in the portal, but not ideal, obviously. Otherwise, with the Dark Age Hunt thing going on this week, the kind of dungeon challenge that Bungie issued for the cool emblem, someone shared, "I solo flawless the Dark Age Hunt challenge in less time than it took Red Kakis to explain Arms Week." Which, if that's true, to be fair, that's quite an achievement. Not to criticize Red Kakis, of course. Obviously, it's kind of a meme in the community to do things like this, but I'm sure it was a fully fleshed out Arms Week guide for those who want it. Some people like things being explained. Also, congrats on getting a very quick clear of the dungeon. Spooks on Reddit shared, "No one expects the crystal. No one. This is a PvP montage. Let's have a look." They're hiding in a crystal, I assume, right there. And the Guardian thinks, "Oh, where is that other enemy player? Oh, Bosh! That's rude, isn't it? Where did the other guy come from? What's happening?" I mean, this is trolling, isn't it? That's pretty funny. Get wrecked. Fun fact, the Ash and Iron trailer is Bungie's third most viewed trailer ever. This was shared by Jaffa Muncher. If we look at this selection of most popular videos from the Destiny channel, Rally the Troops, the 8-year-old reveal trailer, 14 million views. The Taken King E3 reveal trailer, 10 million views. Edge of Fate, Ash and Iron major update trailer, 10 million views. That's bonkers. At first, it didn't click for me. I was like, how? How is that possible? It turns out because Bungie were using that as the advert for Ash and Iron, it got lots of views that they technically paid for because they were using it as an ad, right? Nothing wrong with that, but it did inflate the actual view count. Do what you will with that useless piece of information, I suppose. Paul Tassi posted, final couple of things here, for Marathon briefly, that they dodged an Arc Raiders bullet for launch. So in here, Paul Tassi points out that Shadow and Order is delayed, apparently, from March 3rd. Also, Marathon drops that week on the 5th. But according to the roadmap for Arc Raiders, there's no big update or expansion happening in March. February has a larger update for Arc Raiders, but March is pretty clear. So to be fair, that is good news because Bungie will want to tap into that Arc Raiders audience as much as possible. But as he points out, it'll be interesting to see whether players want to shell out $40 for a different extraction game. Of course, Marathon potentially will be more hardcore, certainly going to be different to Arc Raiders overall. So I'm curious to see how it's going to go down. for Marathon, it was actually the 4th highest earning game on Steam for a time when pre-orders went live. So the next month or so is going to be very interesting for that project in general, especially given that there'll be the open beta, which I think is going to be probably the biggest moment so far in the whole kind of lead up to Marathon in terms of informing whether players are going to jump in. More pre-orders will happen and all that kind of stuff. So that'll be a big moment, and we'll just let Marathon speak for itself, really. I don't want to speculate anymore about how it will actually do with a mass audience. We will find out very soon. For today, guys, that is what we have to talk about. So share your impressions on any of the rewards that are coming up, the return of Crimson and Revelry things, other cosmetics that have been added, the potential that Shadow and Order is going to be at the back end of April. That's a very, very long time. But as I've said, we are like just over a month away, so Twid this week, man. Bungie have got to say something useful. They really do. I get that a lot of the focus is on Marathon, but I struggle to see how, just kind of letting Destiny players get saltier and saltier about the situation actually helps Marathon. Surely it has more potential to harm Marathon than not. Although I think Sony are the ones pulling the strings now, it's not really just up to Bungie. So we'll see. Give me your thoughts below if you've enjoyed the roundup. A rating would really help us out. And hit subscribe as well if you want to stay up to date with Bungie news. But otherwise, cheers for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day.